Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. First, well, technically second Monday of the new year, but the first one where I'm actually in the office. Last Monday I was off. Lucky me. Lucky you because you didn't have me on your computer. But we're back. We are back to maximize your Monday. I have a new guest with me. As you can see, Lauren is joining me this week. Recently transitioned, not too recently, but recent enough. It's still fresh, and we're going to talk about her transition from education into the exciting world of account representation, kind of go over everything that went along with that transition. I know there are a lot of transitioning educators that are still involved in my feed that are interested in a whole variety of new positions that are out there. So the goal here this year is to get some more insight for anyone looking to transition, not just educators. If you're looking to transition from anything into a new position, this is to give you some insight. But you all know the drill. You know the format of the show. So 3, 2, 1, go. Right. So three things motivating me for the week ahead. The first thing, probably for you parents out there, doesn't really sound super motivating, but I'm pretty excited about it. So Paw Patrol Live is coming to the area, and we have tickets to take my little one. She has been talking about all the characters nonstop for the past few months, and so when I saw this was coming around, it was one of the things that we wanted to do with her this year is to try to get her a little bit more out involved. I know we try to limit her screen time, but Paw Patrol is one of those things that's pretty easy for us to have on in the background if we're making dinner or if she's homesick and I have to work. I can always throw on an episode of that and it will capture her attention while I make a 30-minute phone call. So that is the first thing motivating me. Sunday, my wife and I are taking her to her first Paw Patrol Live experience. So excited to see how that goes for her. Second thing that's motivating me for the week ahead is Wednesday night is going to be one of those rare nights where Matt gets to be by himself. So my wife is working late. She's still an educator, and she has the always fun parent teacher conferences, the getting to know your child's teacher thing in the start of the semester. So my daughter will be with her grandmother. My wife will be working late. So this is like the time where I get to watch the mindless TV shows that my wife isn't really interested in, or like the nonsense play video games, whatever it may be. So we'll see. But Wednesday, a alone night for Matt is something to look forward to every once in a while. And then the final thing motivating me for the week ahead is just the football playoffs in general. As I'm recording this, I don't know what's going to be happening for the Eagles. Fingers crossed they won on Sunday and everything's fine. If we recorded this live on Monday, I might be like distraught if they lost or something like that. But fingers crossed, playoffs are going to be fun for Matt this year. Last year, not so much. So this year, let's hope that the NFL playoffs are a good time. So those are the motivators. In terms of what goals I have for the week ahead. So with the new year starting, it's always kind of one of those feeling out processes. It's tough to get into a real rhythm with the hiring process at the end of the year because of the holidays, time off, everything like that. It's tough to schedule interviews, schedule on-site stuff. So the next 2 weeks here is just really me catching up and getting all of that stuff moving forward so that all the open roles that we have can be filled generally pretty quick. So that's the biggest goal, is just catching up on that. And the other thing is just kind of doing some cleanup before the spring cleaning, just going to the job boards, making sure everything is posted accurately, updating anything that I may need to update, and going from there. And the win from the week before, it's always good to start off the first week of the year with an offer letter out. I did get an offer letter extended on Friday, so big plus there. I'm looking forward to having an exciting new candidate join the company and move forward with their career with Novalex. So that's it for me. Lauren, what is going on in your week ahead, week past? What's going on?
So I love the Paw Patrol Live. I have three kids myself, 8 and under. So we are all about Paw Patrol at our house.
For sure.
But we're actually gonna check out, it's not like Monster Jam, but it's monster trucks
Okay.
this weekend at a little track by us. So we're like super pumped about that.
Nice. Very nice.
Um, and then, of course, with any new year, with any company, you've got new goals, you've got new things going on. So that's kind of motivating me. I know like work related stuff, but it's a big part of your life. So, yes.
Yeah.
Um, and then motivating me right now is trying to clean eat, work out a little bit more, get outside a little bit more. So that's been something that I've been motivated in doing, trying to do. So
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So the reason I reached out to you and you know we have been connected. I think we're in some of the similar groups. Is you made your transition from education into a new industry recently. I did this about 7 years ago. Went from education into recruiting, and when I made my transition, it was more so that I just kind of fell into recruiting. It wasn't like when I was in high school, college, anything like that. Like a bucket list careers I wanted to do when I grew up was recruiter. It just kind of seemed one of those positions that aligned with the skill set that I had as an educator. So when you made your transition out of education and into account representation, was that a position that you kind of had in the back of your mind when you were starting your transition, or did it just kind of come naturally with research, with time, with conversations, things like that?
So, like you said, falling into recruiting, my sister, who's 5 years younger than me, is a recruiter. And the very last day of school, we had a family wedding. So, we were all together and she just kind of grabbed me and was like, "What are you doing with your life? You're still making the same amount of money you did, the day you started.
Mhm.
Are you okay with this? Like, how do you feel?" And I was like, "I was until you started talking to me about it."
Right.
So she's like, "You need to get on LinkedIn, check out some things because educators really, they can do anything. You
Mhm.
know, your stuff, your qualities just, they transfer so easily." So, of course, recruiting was where she was trying to help me, look into that, but it just didn't feel natural coming from the education space and then just having like that coming fresh out.
Right.
Um, Felt like a fish out of water, very much so when I was interviewing and everything. So I kind of switched over to like the educational companies, but then I didn't want anything to do with writing curriculum or anything like that. So I was like, I'm out on that. So then a girlfriend of mine I taught with, she had transitioned into Lakeshore and she posted that there was an inside sales position, account representation. And I went for it and that just kind of happened. So,
Okay.
my advice to anybody who is looking to transfer out of education into any type of sales role is to make sure that you're able to talk about how your abilities, your strengths move into sales because they don't understand when you're saying, "Oh yeah, well, we look at numbers all the time." Well, okay, what numbers? You have to be able to explain, like, just like KPIs,
Mhm.
we're constantly looking at state testing scores. And, of course, you want your scores to be the highest because you make more money. The higher numbers that you have, the more money you make. Well, guess what? In sales, those corporate leaders are going to say, "Oh, you're competitive. You like, to pay attention to your numbers and make sure you're doing the best for your students." So that's the same for your customers. You're going to be working hard to try to find the best way to make that money and make those numbers go up. So
Yeah.
just diving in and making sure that you can correlate those two.
Yeah, let's dig a little deeper on that because that's kind of one of the things that most transferring teachers or transitioning teachers kind of ask me about. I'm sure you've gotten the questions too, your transferable skills. There's so many that kind of apply to these new industries that you don't really think of when you're writing your resume, drafting your cover letter. Me with recruiting, evaluation, communication, doing different types of putting people in the right place to succeed. That all is things that you do every day as an educator. So for you transitioning into a position in sales, what are some of those skills as an educator that have made this transition a little easier on you since it's an entirely new industry?
So, of course, my company is educational based. So, I have a huge skill set that a lot of other people coming in who don't have that. Um, I have that advantage over them because I can speak more to the educational points than they can. But as far as like the sales part goes, just being a people person. I mean, we deal with so many different types of people within our day that you don't even realize. You've got, your students, you've got fellow teachers, you've got your administration, sometimes the district or your county or somebody's coming in, and you've got all sorts of different people that you're dealing with, also parents. And every single parent's different, sometimes you have the grandmas, and you've got to make everybody happy. So just being a people person and knowing how to put out fires and deal with, pretty much any situation, you're just quick on your feet to please. So that was definitely something that I feel like teachers, you got that. You can build those relationships, and that's kind of what it's all about. And then I spoke about, looking at numbers. It is all about numbers. So just being able to be self-aware of the numbers, just like you were in the classroom. Same as that, being self-motivated. I feel like a lot of times teachers do everything by themselves.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot of support. So moving into this role, you wear so many different hats as a teacher. Well, you're about to wear a whole bunch of hats as an account representative. So just being able to juggle things and, toggle between things. And it's like you're constantly doing something, I feel like we're really good at that.
Yeah.
And that's super transferable. Competitive. I feel like you have to be competitive in this field. And if that's something that you don't like, you might not want to go into this because it's constant. You're constantly looking at each other's numbers and you're competing against them. So
Sure.
there's that. But
Yeah, absolutely. So now you kind of alluded to it, in terms of the advice you got to be more active on LinkedIn. And I know you are now that you're in your new role. I see you posting relatively frequently. So how important was that when you were making that transition in terms of the networking? How often were you trying to set up the coffee chats, get advice from other people that had either made the transition already from education or who were just in the field that interested you and you wanted to kind of pick their brains? Did you utilize anything beyond LinkedIn for that type of benefit?
really, I use LinkedIn for everything. And quite a few times when I went to interview, they mentioned my LinkedIn and how active I was. Like I told you, I was only active during the summer. I had started the last day of school, basically. And I was just constantly joining all of the exit groups and transitioning teachers groups and just using all of the free resources that are available. I know it's Erin Luber, or I don't know if I'm saying her last name right, but she helped me with my resume by sending me like a free resume for me to kind of look at and edit. And that helped a lot with, being able to use the verbiage that you need to correlate to the corporate world.
Yeah.
Um, but basically just making sure you're networking, posting. Anytime you see someone in the company who's posting, connect with them. You don't necessarily have to reach out. I didn't reach out to everybody, but if they're willing to connect with you, they're willing to be open to maybe having a conversation. So you can always use them. Like if you do apply, just reach out and say, do you have any advice? I just applied for such and such role, but make sure you link the role so that they can easily click on that. And then they know what you're talking about, and just say, do you have anybody maybe I should talk to or link up with? And so that's basically what I did. Build those followers so that they see that, you do have a big presence and everything. And it's kind of all I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've already given a few pieces of advice in terms of to other people looking to transition out. So that's usually my final question, but I'm going to spin it a little bit since you've given some great advice already. Was there any advice that you yourself received, maybe not so much when you were starting your transition, but when you started your new role, anything that maybe some coworkers kind of gave you some insight in terms of starting over and what you would then give to other people that are starting fresh?
As far as starting in a new career coming from education,
Mhm.
it's it is a totally different world. You are going to feel like a fish out of water because you really are.
Mhm.
The corporate world is completely different than education. But you can do it and it's amazing. I have so much support. Like I didn't even know that you can work for people who like care about you and want to support you. And just being in the corporate world, they're constantly like patting you on the back and saying, thank you so much for all you're doing, which I feel like as an educator, we work so hard and do so much and then never getting that like,
Right.
oh, good job. You see it through your kids' growth and everything, but you don't ever get anybody constantly there to support you and help you. You just got to figure it out.
Mhm.
So that's something that I say, you can do it. Be brave. You'll get it. It's just like starting teaching from day one. You just had to throw yourself in there and learn. And that's just kind of how it's going to be. Also, working from home, totally different ball game.
Yeah.
I hear like every sound now.
Mhm.
I was like,
Yep.
oh, I didn't know that sound ever happened because, working in education, you're just go, 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 and there's so much
No
happening.
quiet time, right?
No, it's just really weird. It's a weird feeling to be by yourself and like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can hear my
absolutely.
thoughts.
Absolutely an adjustment to work remotely for sure. Well, Lauren, I appreciate you taking the time today to jump on with me. I know it was a last minute thing, so I'm appreciative of you moving your schedule around to make time for this. If you are not connected following Lauren at this point, make sure you are doing that. Otherwise, have a great week ahead and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.